You wake up in the morning, and before your body even stirs, before your feet touch the cold floor, your mind is already at war. 1,000 little questions, all pulling at you. Check your phone or leave it on the nightstand. Reply to that notification now, or push it off until later. Coffee or tea? Do you start working on that important project, or ease the tension by scrolling through social media? At first, these choices seem harmless. Tiny forks in the road. But what most people don't realize is that life is not made up of giant decisions alone. Life is built on these small, daily micro-decisions, each one shaping the direction of our energy and attention. From the moment our eyes open, life becomes an avalanche of yes or no decisions. And because we're human, wired by evolution to seek approval, to avoid rejection, to chase comfort and possibility, our default is yes. Yes to the meeting we don't care about. Yes to the dinner invitation that leaves us drained. Yes to the task that eats away our afternoon, leaving us no closer to our real goals. Yes to shiny opportunities that sparkle but never lead anywhere. And we do this because deep down we fear that if we say no we might lose something. We might disappoint someone. We might miss the one golden chance that could change our lives. But here's the quiet tragedy. In saying yes to everything, we are unknowingly saying no to the one thing that matters most, ourselves. Every yes is a drop of water slowly eroding our focus. Every yes is another brick in the wall of busyness. And little by little, we scatter ourselves into pieces. Busy, productive looking, but never truly great. Greatness is not built on yes. Greatness is built on no. And no one understood this more than Steve Jobs. Jobs was not a man who tried to do everything. He was the man who mastered the art of subtraction. He wasn't obsessed with adding more features, more products, more opportunities. He was obsessed with removing them, with stripping away the noise until only the essential remained. He once explained it perfectly. People think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that are out there. Pause on that. He didn't say bad ideas. He said good ones. That's the hardest part. Most of us can say no to distractions. No to the junk food. No to the meaningless TV show. No to the obvious time wasters. But the real test of focus? The real test of courage? It's saying no to the things that are almost right. The things that look promising, but don't align with our deeper purpose. Jobs built Apple not on the back of endless additions, but by constantly cutting. In the late 90s, when he returned to a struggling Apple, the company had dozens of product lines. Printers, cameras, a confusing range of computers. Jobs walked into meetings and asked one brutal question. If this product doesn't matter, why are we making it? Within months, he had slashed the product line down to 4. Just 4. And from that ruthless subtraction came the foundation for the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone. Products that didn't just change Apple but changed the world. Here's what's fascinating from a psychological perspective. When we say yes to too many things, our brains suffer from what psychologists call decision fatigue. Every decision, no matter how small, drains a bit of our mental energy. By the time we've said yes to everyone else's priorities, we have nothing left for our own. Jobs understood this intuitively. By saying no, by eliminating choices, he protected his mental energy for what really mattered. But saying no isn't just about efficiency. It's about identity. Every no is a statement. This is who I am. This is what I value. This is what I will give my life to. And that's why most people avoid it. Saying yes is safe. It keeps people happy. It avoids conflict. But saying no? Saying no means risking disapproval. It means being misunderstood. It means standing firm when others call you stubborn, arrogant, or even foolish. Jobs was called all of these things. But he understood something the rest of us often forget. If you don't define your focus, someone else will define it for you. Imagine your life as a canvas. If you try to paint everything, every request, every opportunity, every distraction, the canvas becomes cluttered. No image emerges. But if you choose carefully, if you say no to most colors and brushstrokes, a picture begins to form. Something clear. Something powerful. That's what Jobs did. That's what all great creators, thinkers, and leaders do. They guard their canvas. They refuse to let it be filled with noise. Now, here's the part that really matters for you. Look around your life. How many yes are stealing your focus right now? How many projects are you juggling that don't actually move you closer to what you want? How many people's approval are you chasing, while quietly abandoning your own dreams? The truth is, you don't need more opportunities. You don't need more yes. What you need is clarity, and the courage to defend it. You need to recognize that every yes is not just an agreement, it's a trade. A trade of your time, your energy, your future. And once you spend it, you don't get it back. Jobs left us with many lessons about innovation, design, and technology. But perhaps his greatest lesson was not about computers or phones at all. It was about life. It was about learning to say no fiercely, unapologetically, and consistently so that when you do say yes, it is to something that truly matters. Because in the end, greatness is not found in how much you do. It's found in what you refuse to do. Think about Apple products for a moment. The iPhone, the iPod, the MacBook. These weren't just tools. They became symbols of clarity in a noisy world. And the fascinating part is this. They weren't revolutionary because they had more features than everyone else. They were revolutionary because they had fewer. While other companies competed by piling on features. More buttons, more menus, more complicated settings. Jobs demanded the opposite. He stripped it all away. He wanted devices that felt natural, effortless, almost invisible. The iPod didn't drown you in choices. It gave you one wheel, one function, one clear purpose. To hold 1,000 songs in your pocket. The iPhone didn't overwhelm you with buttons. It offered a clean screen, a single button, and an experience so simple that even a child could master it. That's the genius of restraint. But let's be honest, restraint doesn't come naturally. Restraint is painful. Restraint is a war inside the mind. A war between the comfort of saying yes and the courage of saying no. Why is this so hard? Because our brains are wired for more. Evolution shaped us to grab every opportunity. Thousands of years ago, this instinct helped us survive. If you stumbled upon a food source, you didn't say no. If you had a chance to gain status in the tribe, you didn't refuse. Every yes increased your odds of survival. But in the modern world, this ancient wiring is sabotaging us. We are drowning in abundance. Endless choices, endless opportunities, endless information. And the more we say yes, the more we scatter our focus, until nothing gets the attention it truly deserves. This is why Steve Jobs' story isn't just about technology. It's a psychological blueprint for life in the 21st century. His career teaches us that focus isn't about what you choose to do. It's about what you choose to eliminate. Psychologists have a name for the struggle we face. Decision fatigue. Every decision, no matter how small, burns a bit of mental energy. By the end of the day, after hundreds of tiny yes or no choices, our brains are exhausted. This is why judges are more likely to grant parole in the morning than in the afternoon. It's why we reach for junk food late at night. And it's why, when our lives are filled with endless yes, we run out of energy for the decisions that truly matter. Jobs understood this. He wore the same black turtleneck every day, not because he lacked style, but because he refused to waste mental energy on trivial choices. He designed his company the same way. Fewer products, fewer distractions, fewer decisions. By cutting away the noise, he preserved his mind for what mattered most. And here's the deeper truth. Every no is not just an act of discipline. It's an act of identity. When you say no, you're not just turning something down. You're declaring who you are. You're saying, this is what matters to me. This is what I stand for. This is the direction of my life. That's why most people avoid it. Saying yes feels good. It keeps others happy. It avoids conflict. But saying no? That takes courage. It risks rejection. It risks misunderstanding. People might call you stubborn, arrogant, or difficult. Jobs heard all of these labels. But he knew that without no, there is no focus. Without focus, there is no masterpiece. When you look at anyone who has achieved greatness, an artist, an athlete, a leader, you don't just see the things they did. You also see the long shadow of things they refused. The opportunities they passed on. The distractions they ignored. The people they disappointed. That's the hidden cost of mastery. The courage to cut away. Jobs once said, people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. Notice his words. Good ideas. Not bad ones. Not worthless ones. Good ones. That's the real paradox. The greatest threat to your focus is not the garbage. It's the good. Because good seduces you. Good feels safe. But good is the enemy of great. And that's why restraint is not weakness. Restraint is power. It is the invisible discipline behind every visible success. So when you look at the iPhone, or the iPod, or the MacBook, don't just see technology. See a philosophy. See the discipline of a man who understood that saying yes to everything is the fastest way to say no to your destiny. Because in the end, your life will not be defined only by the things you embrace. It will be defined, even more powerfully, by the things you refuse. Notice that word. Good. Not bad ideas, not obvious distractions, not things that were doomed from the start. Good ideas. Promising ideas. Opportunities that could have made money. Paths that might have led to success. And yet Jobs said no. Why? Because he knew something most of us don't. The energy you spend chasing 10 different paths will leave you stranded halfway down each. You'll never reach the end. Better to choose one path, commit to it fully, and walk it all the way through. That's where impact lives. Not in the scatter, but in the finish. And this is where psychology gives us a clue as to why so few people can do what Jobs did. Our brains are not designed for restraint. Neuroscience shows that we are wired to chase novelty. Every new opportunity, every shiny project, every what if triggers a small surge of dopamine, the brain's chemical of anticipation and reward. That's why saying yes feels so good in the moment. It feels alive. It feels like possibility. But here's the trap. Dopamine is deceptive. It rewards us for the chase, not the catch. It keeps us hooked on the feeling of progress, even when we're not truly moving forward. It's the same reason people scroll endlessly through social media, always hungry for the next post, the next like, the next hit of stimulation. Like all addictions, the high is temporary, and the emptiness that follows is real. Jobs had the rare ability to resist that pull. He had the discipline to silence the thrill of yes and focus on the quiet power of no. And make no mistake, it takes courage to say no. Because no doesn't just close a door. No often comes with a price. No disappoints people. No makes others question your judgment. No risks being misunderstood. And Jobs was misunderstood constantly. He was called ruthless, arrogant, cold. Some even called him cruel. And maybe they weren't entirely wrong. Jobs could be sharp, even brutal. But look at what that so-called cruelty created. Devices that reshaped how humans live, how we connect, how we remember our lives. His no wasn't born out of spite. It was born out of clarity. He understood a truth most people run from. You cannot change the world and please everyone at the same time. You cannot create something extraordinary without rejecting the ordinary. The world will call it arrogance, but history will call it vision. Jobs was willing to carry that burden. He was willing to bear the weight of rejection, criticism, and misunderstanding because he believed the reward was worth it. And that reward wasn't just profit. It wasn't just building a company. It was a chance to create something that outlived him, something that reshaped culture itself. That's the paradox of saying no. In the short term, it creates discomfort. It breeds enemies. It makes you stand apart. But in the long term, it carves out a space for greatness. A space that can never be filled by those too afraid to disappoint. Most of us will never invent the iPhone. But every single one of us faces the same dilemma. Every day, we're tempted by good ideas, new opportunities, and shiny distractions. Every day, our brain whispers yes. And every day, we have to decide. Do I chase the dopamine of novelty? Or do I endure the discomfort of no, so that I can finally walk one path to the end? Because that's where meaning lies. That's where mastery lives. And that's where, like Jobs, we stop scattering ourselves into pieces, and start creating something whole. Now, pause for a moment and really reflect on your own life. Think back to the countless moments when you said, yes, even though something inside you whispered, no. Maybe it was agreeing to help a friend when your own energy was already depleted. Maybe it was accepting an opportunity that looked promising but didn't align with your vision. Maybe it was staying in a relationship, a job, or even a lifestyle that you knew wasn't meant for you. Simply because you were afraid of disappointing others, or worse, afraid of being left behind. This silent betrayal of the self happens more often than we realize. We disguise it under politeness, ambition, or the fear of missing out. Society rewards us for being agreeable, for being available, for being endlessly yes-oriented. We're told that the more doors we walk through, the better our chances of success. But here's the paradox. The more doors you walk through, the more lost you become. Every yes is a silent trade. And the cost of saying yes to the wrong thing is always the right thing slipping away unnoticed. Let me ask you this. How many times have you been so busy that your days blurred into each other? You worked, you rushed, you checked off tasks, and yet, when the week ended, you couldn't pinpoint a single moment that felt meaningful. You were moving, but not forward. You were active, but not alive. That's the trap of busyness. It convinces us that we're building something great, when in reality, we're building walls of noise around our true potential. Psychologists call this the illusion of progress. Our brains are wired to crave completion. Finishing a task releases dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. That's why even answering emails or checking notifications feels satisfying in the moment. But here's the catch. Not all progress is real progress. Sometimes the brain tricks us into feeling productive, while in truth, we're only distracting ourselves from the deeper, harder, more meaningful work. And this is why saying no is so powerful. Because when you strip away the unnecessary, when you reject the shiny distractions, what remains is focus. And focus is not just about attention. It's about energy, identity, and purpose. Focus is the soil where great ideas take root, where the impossible becomes possible. Steve Jobs understood this better than most. He wasn't just a man obsessed with design or technology. He was obsessed with clarity. When he returned to Apple after being pushed out, the company had dozens of products, none of them remarkable. Jobs looked at that chaos and decided to kill almost all of them. He reduced everything down to 4 simple categories. He said no to almost everything so he could say a louder, stronger yes to a handful of things that mattered. And those yes became the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone. Creations that didn't just change Apple, but reshaped culture, communication, and human connection itself. That's the hidden psychology of no. It feels restrictive, but it's liberating. It feels like closing doors, but in truth, it opens the only door that matters. And this lesson isn't just for visionaries like Jobs. It's for all of us. Because whether you realize it or not, your life is shaped not by the things you agree to, but by the courage you have to refuse. Every boundary you set, every distraction you decline, every time you choose depth over breadth, you are not losing. You are building. You are carving out space for the masterpiece only you can create. So ask yourself this. What in your life needs a no right now? Which habits, commitments, or relationships are stealing your energy but giving you nothing in return? Which opportunities are keeping you busy but not fulfilled? Saying no might feel uncomfortable in the moment, but discomfort is temporary. Regret lasts forever. Because in the end, the power of saying no isn't about rejection at all. It's about love. Love for your time, love for your energy, love for your purpose. It's about creating a life where your yes actually means something. So as we dive deeper into this journey, remember, the art of no is the foundation of every extraordinary yes.